In this video, I'm going to be showing you the one tip that in just 2 months brought my redstone builds from looking like this to this, and how you can do it too. Let's get to it. So how will this improve your builds? This tip will improve both their efficiency and their size. It's not a rule or a mindset or even hidden redstone component. It's simply a block that, if your builds still look like this, you're not utilizing to full potential. It will take some practice before your builds reach the caliber that you may want, but I can guarantee that this tip will improve your redstone skills. So what is the redstone block? It is the observer. Now, when I built this, I thought that observers were used for flying machines and in a couple of other rare instances. But after a couple of months of working on my redstone skills and watching YouTube tutorials, I realized that observers are essential to a well-built redstone contraption. Today, I'm going to teach you everything I know about observers and how you can elevate them to your most valuable tool in your redstone tool belt. So for those of you who don't know how an observer works, or you just need a reminder, I'll give a brief explanation. An observer has one face and one output. What the face does is it detects any updates that occur on the block it is facing. So if a block is broken or placed, or if any redstone component is activated, it will send a pulse out of its output, hard powering any block against its output. The pulse will always be 1 tick. The delay of an observer was supposed to be 1 tick, but due to a bug, it is 2 ticks. The other 4 sides of the observer are completely unaffected by any redstone. So what makes an observer superior to regular old redstone or repeaters? Well, there are 3 main reasons. 1. They don't need a block to be placed on. This means you can stack them vertically and therefore make builds more compact. 2. They don't interfere with any other redstone components, again making builds more compact. 3. When using them, you're forced to work with 1-tick pulses, which, if executed correctly, can make your redstone builds much faster. Now that you know how useful observers can be, I'll show you all the unique ways to use them that I've learned over the past couple of months. One of the big problems with observers is that you get 2 outputs from a button. The copper bulb completely eliminates this problem. The copper bulb, added in the Tricky Trials update, is basically a T flip-flop. What is a T flip-flop? It's a circuit that when powered for a short amount of time, like the time of a button or observer, turns on and stays on, effectively turning a temporary input into an infinite one. It's basically a lever that you can use inside of a redstone contraption. Before this update, circuits, such as this one, were used as T flip-flops, but the copper bulb, especially for bedrockers, is now the smaller and more reliable alternative. Simply power it and take an output via a comparator. What this means is you can actually convert any observer output, say from a button, into the original output, meaning you can transport signals with observers and convert them back into their original state with copper bulbs. This is extremely useful, and you can see that I use this technique multiple times in my 4x4 piston door I built. What I mean by this is you can actually create chains of observers like this one. These chains can be super valuable when working in tight spaces. As you can see, if you put the face of an observer, we'll call this observer 1, against the side of another observer, observer 2, the first one will detect when the second one is powered. You can see that I use this technique here to transport the redstone signal without interfering with anything else. This tip can be super useful if you're trying to not overcomplicate your builds. I did this multiple times in my 4x4. You can see that here I ran Redstone Dust on top of this dropper. What this does is the Redstone Dust powers the top piston, and because the dropper is a solid block, it powers the bottom piston. These 2 observers detect the powering of the Redstone Dust and the dropper, and power the blocks they're facing. You could also use doors or trap doors in certain scenarios. This is probably the least important of the 4 sub-tips, but still relevant. I have an example of this once again in my 4x4. It's kind of hard to see, but right here I actually took 4 outputs from this one piston. You don't have to use a piston for this trick, but in my scenario, it was perfect. So guys, that is everything I've learned about observers. I hope this tip helps you elevate your redstone builds, and I hope you learned something. If so, drop a comment or like, and if you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe. It really helps me out, and you can always unsubscribe if you change your mind later. And with that, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.